When night falls in the Egyptian port of Quseir el Quadim, its magnificent history is transformed into a captivating nocturnal wonderland. This coral reef becomes a magical thing. A world of fluorescence, a special phenomenon, the artificial light revealing a mysterious world. Suddenly, in the light of high-tech torches, these creatures look unearthly, almost alien. In daylight, these colors cannot be seen. Today, the species-rich bay of Quseir el Quadim is a marine reserve in the Red Sea, with ideal conditions to explore the region's coral reefs. In 1864, a zoologist studied coral reef ecology for the first time and laid the foundations for modern reef research. The colors and diversity of living organisms now attract millions of holidaymakers here year after year, and diving has now become important to the region's economy. However, too many divers could also interfere with the ecology. Therefore, in the 1990s, marine conservation was introduced and the number of divers strictly controlled. In the upper illuminated waters are corals, anemones and fish in all the colors of the rainbow. Even in the deepest areas of the reef, there is radiant orange coral that appears in the bright light, as well as the antennae lionfish. Why some sea creatures fluoresce and others do not is the subject of much research. Yet this bay also holds other elusive secrets. This, the richest coral reef in the Red Sea, has gradually grown above the ancient harbor walls of the former Pharaohs' harbor. buried under sediment, is a relic of the past. For there was once a harbor basin in the desert that met with the Red Sea. Many treasures are hidden on the ocean floor, with precious cargoes lost in storms at sea. There was once a fortress in Quseir el Quadim, an important harbor city of the Egyptian Empire that was later used by the Romans. But there's no sign of the fortress now. Why did people settle here in ancient times on the remote edge of the desert? It was the nearest point between the River Nile and the Red Sea, and at that time the only trading route. In the 3rd century BC, the Ptolemaic dynasty's commercial harbour of Myos Hormos was built here, and recent excavations have provided archaeologists with some interesting facts. Eight days' march separated the River Nile, Egypt's vital lifeline, from the Red Sea, a discovery that was made during the rule of Queen Hatshepsut. She had 5 ships built in the north of Thebes that, separated into individual parts, were transported by donkey caravan 200 kilometers across the desert to the coast. To transport incense and gold, a sea route to Punt was opened up. The splendor of this fluorescent underwater world is spellbinding, yet the first desert crossing was thought to have taken a full 2 months. Hatshepsut was wife and half-sister of Pharaoh Thutmosis II. Following his death, she became guardian of the pharaoh's 3-year-old stepson and exercised sovereignty over Egypt. In order to strengthen her position as regent, she needed results, and they came in abundance. After 7 months, 5 heavily laden ships duly returned, and the expedition was a triumph for Queen Hatshepsut. So an ancient trading route was created through the desert between the former royal city of Thebes and Quseir el Quadim, the street of the gods. The marine conservation area within the coral reef of the ancient port is one of the few places where the rare carrot turtle can be seen. However, almost every 20 minutes they must interrupt their foraging to come up for water in order to breathe. Around 40 meters deep, and the underwater currents favor the growth of horn coral that exists here in various forms. The sea fan coral is particularly impressive. Remarkable moving colonies of sea life among the many splendors that are to be found from one moment to the next. The divers often arouse the interest of the bottlenose dolphins, which visit the bay at regular intervals. People watching, no doubt. They accompany the divers to a depth of 45 meters and then disappear as quickly as they appeared. The bottlenose dolphins return with related species from the open sea and play around the divers. These dolphins are known for their interest in humans, observing them closely and skimming the waves. Shell Harbour Lagoon, which contains large shoals of doctorfish, today extends for only a few meters from the shore. Once the ancient port extended to the foot of the surrounding hills, and its generous quantity of mussel beds gave it the name Myos Hormos. Unfortunately, it gradually silted up. Rain created mud, which flowed from the wadis. Often, well-camouflaged marine life can only be seen when it moves, especially that which mainly lives on the seabed. Any ships that sank here are now to be seen no more, now covered by the relentless growth of the coral reef. The alpine gardens of the lagoon belong to their residents. Man is only allowed to visit. The colors and nocturnal fluorescence here are quite spectacular, amazing, out of this world. Daylight, it's altogether different. The intensity of color is no longer to be seen. The creation of fluorescence in marine life is due to a molecule, fluorescent green protein. In recent years, the sensational scientific discovery has revolutionized genetic engineering, biology, and medicine. The whole area of this former ancient settlement is a splendid place, although little remains of the Egyptians, Ptolemies and Romans who once settled here. The ruins of Myos Hormos are located on a hill at the edge of the historic harbour. In 275 BC, 50 years after the death of Alexander the Great, Pharaoh Ptolemies II had a settlement built here. In the 2nd century BC, when the Romans in Egypt grew increasingly stronger, they constructed a harbour and built a castellum. A 100 soldiers were assigned to the port, which was gradually developed to take larger ships. Up to 120 ships are believed to have sailed from here to India each year. For 500 years, Myos Hormos was a hub of trade between the cities along the Nile and the then known world. What ships and cargoes are today hidden in the former harbour will possibly always remain a mystery, but it's one engulfed by the beauty of the natural world that lies beneath the water. It's possible that the coral and sea creatures protect the ancient treasures of thousands of years of history, all locked within a watery tomb. However, one thing is certain. This underwater paradise has survived a fascinating Garden of Eden, unique in its splendor. Several meters in diameter, a bright green centuries-old salad corral shines out like a landmark of the bay. Each of the corals is home to a variety of microorganisms that play a fundamental role in the nutrition of the marine fauna. A living world of rare beauty, one of the most beautiful on the planet, transformed by day and by night. In the well-illuminated upper waters, there's a kaleidoscopic array of sea life, but as it gets deeper, the colors are gradually lost. At a depth of 15 meters, both red and orange disappear, and everything becomes colorless and dull. But at night, it all comes alive with fluorescence in all colors, the most common being green, with light coral, anemones, and sea creatures. Here, ancient history combines with a fascinating underwater world. The Pharaoh's port of Quseir el Quadim is a mystical, natural jewel like no other, a magnificent paradise set within the mysteries of the deep.